Well, aloha kakahiaka, everyone. Good morning. Good morning on today from good morning from Hawaii. Today is July 21st, 2023, and you are on the Aloha Friday Hawaii Real Estate Show. I'm your host Peter K, and we're gonna have a very interesting show for you today. We've never done anything like this before, but here's going to be the lineup. We're going to go through some news. We have a market update as usual. Of course, your questions are the most important thing. Get those questions ready because we have a special show today. We're going to be able to dedicate more time to questions than we normally do. And then we've got some diamonds and deals, and we're going to close with some motivational thoughts. So before that, why don't we get ourselves all started over here with a warm up? Let's do the warm up. Now today's warm up is going to be interesting because I think it's going to be right now just me and Heidi. We'll see. Ashley just sent me a text message. She's running late, so we'll see her joining us. And Joan, Auntie Joan, is with us. Thank you, Joan, for being here. We'll see how it goes. So, gang, Dylan is out on some top secret, undisclosed location. I think he's actually like a secret, like agent kind of a dude, and he gets kind of deployed to like special missions. But anyway, I don't know where they are. I don't know where he is, but he told us he was not going to make it. Ashliey is hopefully going to be there later today. But what's really important is that Heidi is here. So Heidi, Heidi, how are you doing today? What's the coffee? What's happening in Maui?
I'm doing amazing. I'm super happy to be here. We've had some kind of cloudy, rainy weather because of the tropical storm passing through. But today the sun is out. It's nice and breezy, so it's not too hot. I actually went to a coffee farm earlier this week up in Kula, um, and it was a great experience. And I'm, of course, enjoying my morning coffee, which is a Maui mocha grown right here on Maui. So it's a great day. Excited to be here.
There you go, man. Thanks, Heidi. It is a great day, and I've got a quick thing, an update on the news regarding the weather. Uh, but there is something, Matt. I think I've had this. I wish I made a note of when I bought this Starbucks insulated coffee mug. I think I've had it for 20 years. I think it's been about 20 years, and that darn thing was. One of the best purchases I've ever made because boy, there is nothing like that first sip of coffee, right? That first sip of coffee is like the best, and I just love that first sip. All right, well, we're enough about enough about coffee. Hey, Patrick, welcome back, buddy. It's been several weeks since I've been able to join in the broadcast. Good to be watching once again. Mahalo, Patrick. Great to have you back, buddy. Give us a quick update on where you're at and what's kind of going on. All right, let's do this. Let's move on to the news and. We'll take it from there and kind of see how it all goes. All right, gang. So here's today's news. And well, you know what? I'm going to change the form a little bit. I'm going to have Heidi on the news with me here. Normally, I just kind of do one of these to kind of give them some chance to kind of to take a breather in the background. But we'll see how this all goes. Hey, Hurricane Calvin came and went. Yes, we had there was a kind of I guess a bit of a scare as there always is. Hurricane was first. It was Hurricane Calvin. It was a Category 3 hurricane, but this is kind of par for the course. You've been living in Hawaii for a long time now. This is kind of what ends up happening. It started out hurricane. It was Hurricane Calvin, and then it became Tropical Storm Calvin. But it was still kind of heading for the island, so we are kind of watching it day by day. And then it kind of just clipped the south part of the Big Island as a tropical storm, but it had kind of already somewhat weakened. I think I asked Dylan about it. In fact, I asked Dylan. I said, "Hey, how are things on the Big Island?" And he said, "I went home really quick just to make sure everything was okay." He goes, and it wasn't even raining. So I think we got lucky. It just clipped us. We had some little bit on Oahu. We had some windy. It was windy. It was rainy. It wasn't like good weather by any means. But we didn't catch much of a brunt of that. Heidi, what about you? What was it like? Did you guys get hit with anything besides some wind and rain? You guys are a little closer to the tropical storm than Oahu was. What was your experience?
Our experience was we put our lanai furniture inside in case it was really windy, but it rained a little bit. I mean, it wasn't even much of a storm here where I'm located, which is on the west side of Maui. So um, yeah, there's always storms passing through, but yeah, nothing big, just cloudy for a few days, a little bit of
And
rain.
and I wanted to I wanted to ask you about this, Heidi. Do you get like I've noticed. So here's the thing for the storms in Hawaii for the folks that are considering making the move to Hawaii. What's it like with the weather and the storms? Does that cause you any anxieties or fear, et cetera? Are you afraid of being caught in a hurricane? And directly answering that, no. But what is interesting is, and I don't know if you've got this, Heidi, but I do get this. I get sort of mild anxiety, not massive anxiety, but I get like anxiety where you see this hurricane like Kelvin, right? So, a week ago, we know that Hurricane Kelvin is out in the Eastern Pacific and it's making its way over, and it's a Category 3 hurricane. So then you got, and today we have all these tools, right? We have websites, we have updates, we have this, we have that, and so we're watching this thing. And I don't know about you, Heidi, but I'm kind of I bookmark Calvin on my browser. I put a shortcut on my phone, and I'm checking that at least 3 times a day, probably more, to kind of see what's going on with Calvin and any other tropical storm hurricane. So there's a certain degree of anxiety. It's not severe anxiety. I don't have to take like anxiety pills or medication, but there's an anxiety that builds up as this thing gets closer and closer and closer, and then you start taking increased measures. How do these things affect you, Heidi, when you kind of see these things coming? What's sort of what mental framework are you into when that happens?
Well, I try to stay calm and not obsess about it. I mean, there's so many storms that are going to pass through the Pacific Ocean every year, and the Hawaiian Islands are such a small landmass. The chances of them hitting, and then if they hit the islands, they're probably going to hit the Big Island, not West Maui. So, I mean, we've been pretty lucky here and haven't had any really big storms, but yeah, it's that time of year. It's always a concern. I feel I would be way more nervous living in Florida or some other places that have really big storms. But yeah, it's
That
one
is
of
a
those
that is a
where
really,
you
really,
can't
really
control
good.
it. If there was a huge storm and we knew it was coming directly hitting the coast where I'm located at, I mean, I live in what's considered a tsunami evacuation zone. I mean, everybody would have to leave. That's never happened since I've been living here. So yeah, just
Well, it's kind of funny, Heidi, but as you're saying this, your personality so far, and it's been, I think we're going on like 3 years now that we've been doing the show, if I'm not mistaken. You're always like the calm one. You've always got I never see you getting like majorly amped up or whatever. So you've got this nice, calm, peaceful approach. That sort of okay makes sense over here. Auntie Jones says, "Hey, I grew up with hurricanes on Long Island, New York. So I just take them in stride." So, Auntie Joan, I'd be curious, you've been in Hawaii now, I think for a little bit over a year and a half, maybe. How do you, what's been how would you compare, how would you contrast Long Island, New York with Hawaii? I'd be curious about that. And speaking of curiosity and speaking of excitement, Ashliey has able to join. Thank you, Ashley. Hope everything is okay. Hope you're all well. We're glad to see you. We're just talking about I don't know if you caught this when I was talking about, but I express mild anxieties when tropical storms and hurricanes are making their way across the Pacific. What's your take? Because you're on the windward side, so you guys catch a little bit of a more of a brunt than we do. What's your mental state, Ashliey, when hurricanes are making their way through and you're watching them on the forecast, and they either make it or they don't? We haven't had any for a long time. What's your mental framework?
I've never really panicked or freaked out, to be honest. I don't know why. Even when everyone was boarding up windows and all the plywood was out of stock and everything, I would just get some propane tanks and a generator and fill up the tub maybe if it's really bad, if it's really scary. But I have like the Windy app, and we have a sailboat in Waikiki, so we follow the weather pretty closely and know that there's always some exit strategies there if you have to get on a boat or do something. But yeah, I don't really freak out about much. Doesn't really.
Yeah, and that's would be I would say that's about it. I mean, all like I said, what I do, my anxiety is about hitting the refresh on the hurricane update at least three times, at least three times a day, at least three times a day. I look for like National Weather Service. Next update at 11 a.m. Okay, great. At 11 a.m. I am like there refreshing to kind of see. But
Maybe
anyway, okay.
staging. Like this one, I didn't even realize that there was a storm coming because I don't watch the news like I should. And I didn't even know that the storm was coming and people were kind of talking about it. And I was like, wait, is there really a storm coming? And then I was like, wonder if I should put the staging on the lanai way. And then I didn't.
Specifically this time around, I kind of knew it was going to burn out. I knew it was going to become a tropical storm, and it's like I knew it was too south, at least the way it was tracking. So Heidi, I didn't even take away our lanai furniture. Nothing was changed. We didn't do a darn thing this
it
time
was
around.
totally unnecessary. I mean, our lanai furniture is the heaviest teak furniture ever. I don't even know why we moved it, but
hey, you moved it because you're supposed to. You moved it because you're supposed
to be safe. I guess we'll look at it that way.
That is exactly right. All right, I'm going to continue with the news over here. We took a little bit of a different thing. We normally don't break on the news, but I did this time. Hey, so the other thing is tax credits helping homeowners. It looks apparently there was an announcement from Honolulu City and County, and actually I don't know if you want to comment on this one. But there is they passed some laws to ease the property tax burden for homeowners. There's a lot of restrictions. Of course, I don't know if it's going to be anything of an effective. I didn't go through the details of it to understand how significant. I don't think it's going to be a significant tax credit, but you know what? I'll take any tax credit I can get. And along with that, very interesting, gang. So this affects real estate. This is a real estate show primarily, though not exclusively. There's an emergency housing proclamation. The governor apparently, I mean, I guess we're getting kind of, we can declare an emergency for like anything these days. And so the governor, he declared an emergency that housing was an emergency. And so apparently he declared an emergency to build more housing. So I'd be curious to kind of see how that's all going to fly. It should be interesting. Maui TSA. So if you've been going through Maui and you've gotten kind of bogged down with the TSA checkout, that should be not the case in the future, because they got a $22 million grant to build a second floor and add on 6 security screening lanes, which I think is long overdue for Maui. So they're going to be looking for that. And then finally, in the only in Hawaii category, it's let's go to coral spawning night. First time I've ever heard of this, gang. So the Maui Ocean Center is hosting a coral spawning night. Apparently, they're from 6 to 9:30 p.m. There'll be rice coral spawning stations throughout the park, and I guess people are gonna go there and watch coral spawn. So I've never heard of coral spawning, but it's happening. And coral spawning on Maui, I couldn't think of anything cooler than coral spawning on Maui. So that's the that's the end of the news update. Let's kind of go into a little bit of a market update and get a quick update on maybe some commentary on the news. Why don't we Ashliey, why don't we start with you first? Let's go to you, and then let's go to Ashliey. I don't know if you have anything you want to share. I mean, of course, we want any kind of market updates that you've got. I don't know if you have anything to share regarding the tax exemption, the emergency proclamation stories. If you feel like commenting, feel free. Otherwise, let's just hear what you got to say about what's happening on Oahu.
Yeah, I mean, the tax credits, I think, like you said, anything will help, right? I believe they're increasing the threshold for the real estate property tax from $60,000 to $80,000. And that's for anyone who has an annual income less than $80,000. They would pay no more than 3% of their income on property taxes. So that you have to apply, and everyone can apply that's a resident, I believe, before September 30th. The emergency proclamation, there's still not a lot of information out there besides what you just hear on the news. And I think that's, going to be great for keeping more of our properties here affordable for the local housing market. In regards to the local housing market, I mean, we still have our summer market. So we have really still a plateaued amount of inventory. Our days on market are overall still shorter than we saw at the beginning of the year. I think we're going to see that through the rest of this month even. We did see a spike in interest rates in this last week. So I think that did slow things down a little bit, not stall it, not prevent any properties from moving, but definitely made the market or the buyers more so think twice, what they're offering and or ask for more credits again. I have like one property that's in an area that there's a lot of veterans, a lot of VA, and the only offers that we're receiving on that is for a VA assumable. So those buyers are willing to bring in the gap between the mortgage and the offer price, which is about, like, say, in this example, $150,000, and just so that they can get that lower, interest rate, because it saves them about $1,000 a month. So I know that that's a really popular thing that we're seeing right now, VA assumables.
I could see that being very popular, very, very, very popular. I mean, if you now assumable means that you can assume the loan of the, you could assume the existing loan that's on the property. Is that right?
Yeah, you can. If a veteran owns a property, someone else can assume that mortgage as well. However, it'll tie up that seller's VA entitlement. But if another veteran comes and purchases the property and assumes the mortgage, the entitlement gets free and cleared for the seller and then assumed by the buyer. And then they get to absorb that interest rate. However, they have to pay the difference between whatever that seller's mortgage balance was and whatever the sales price is.
Right. Wow. Still, that could be a serious, especially in today's, if they have like a 2% mortgage rate, that could be like a massive, huge bonus.
Yeah, this one is 2.265.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. All right. Hey, I want to give a quick shout out here to Kinaya. Kinaya is an alumni of the Islander Ohana, which, by the way, I have a special announcement for today about that. But aloha from last Friday on the Rock. Well, Kinaya, I hope you had a good time. We didn't get a chance to get together. Normally, we kind of do some kind of a meetup, but that didn't kind of happen while you're here. But I'd be curious to give us some feedback on how was your trip this time around and how are things going. But until then, let's hear from Heidi. Heidi, give us the update. What's your take on Maui? Have you gone to the coral spawning night? That's what I really want to know, Heidi. Did you hang out at coral spawning? And if not, have you ever heard of that? But anyway, give us the update, Heidi. What's going on in Maui, in the Maui market, and what your experience has been?
I have not been to the coral spawning night, but I could say the Maui Ocean Center is awesome. They have some great programs there, so I definitely recommend going there if you're visiting or if you live on Maui. I'll just comment really quick on the property taxes because I know we have a lot of viewers that are considering real estate on different islands. And something to know is property taxes are different in each of the counties on the different islands. So on Maui County, they just increased the owner occupant tax exemption to 300,000. So whatever the assessed value is of the property, if you qualify as an owner occupant full-time resident, they take 300,000 off of that value, and then you're taxed at a significantly lower tax rate. And that's for an owner occupant, a full-time resident. Now, if you're moving to Maui, it does take a couple years to receive this exemption because you do need to show that you're filing taxes in Maui County for a couple years, but it's a significant tax savings to be an owner occupant versus a part-time owner or an investor because we have different tax rates. As far as the real estate market, I like to compare a little larger periods of time to see the trends just because we have a relatively small market. Our market is year-to-date 2023 seems to be converging in this kind of slower, stable market, still really strong, but not the intense amount of activity we saw last year, 2022. So, I mean, if we're just comparing it to 2022, for single-family homes year-to-date, there are 33.5 less listings. There are 34.3 less sales. A total for first half of the year, a total of 381 homes sold on Maui. There's been no change in the average sales price. median sales price of a single family home on Maui is down about 2% to $1,150,000 for a single family home. For condominiums year to date, there are about 38% less listings, 47.9 percent less closed sales. 515 condominiums have sold. Median sales price of condominiums is up 10.7%, almost 11% this year compared to year to date 2022. So it's interesting. We're kind of seeing the prices of single family homes and condominiums getting closer together. With condominiums on Maui, the median price is $840 right now, year to date.
Wow, I think that's considerably higher than Oahu's mean price or whatever. Was that an average price or the mean price?
Median.
Median price. Thank you.
Mhm.
Actually, the median on Oahu is like 500K or something like that, right?
For condos, it's 570. I'm looking up the
Okay.
exact for this
Yeah,
past
yeah.
month.
Okay. Yeah. That's higher than I had thought. But yeah, interesting. So again, so it's interesting. I think what's kind of interesting about this market is, the there's these competing forces that are resulting in kind of equilibrium, right? The competing forces that on one hand you have a rise in interest rates, which are essentially rising, bringing the cost of the house up, but there is some kind of demand going on, which is still is not dropping off significantly. So the market's not tanking as a result of the increased prices, supply and demand, and the result is that it seems kind of level. There's no major swings. Not significant. I mean, there's some minor swings, but nothing that's significantly going on. I think that's interesting. I think the other side of it too is that because the rates are getting fluctuate, because the rates are going up a lot. There's a lot of these people like Ashliey, as you mentioned, that don't have VA loans, that are sitting on a 2%, 2.5% interest rate, that don't want to move now from the house. They're not ready for that upgrade because they're gonna have to switch to a mortgage, which is like 2 or 3 times higher, perhaps, than what they're paying now. So that's kind of making them sit, which is reducing the supply. So there's all these competing forces. It gets really kind of interesting, all these market complexities. I don't know if you guys got any feedback on what your perspective is on what's kind of underlying the market stability. You guys want to comment on that at all? Anything you want to add?
I think it's the overall limited inventory. And on Maui in particular, even with an emergency proclamation, I mean, it takes a long time to build here. Building's highly regulated. There's not a lot of land that can be developed. So the existing homes and existing properties tend to retain their value over time. I find people's reasons for buying and selling are often not so much directly tied to the interest rates and economic conditions, more what's going on in somebody's life when they need to move or decide it's time to monetize an investment property. So the market's strong and stable. I mean, the level of activity we're seeing now is more similar to 2014, 2015. I mean, just kind of a slower market. I guess the silver lining for buyers is sellers are getting a bit more realistic. I mean, we've seen some price reductions on homes that were clearly overpriced with the thought that, the market's just going to keep accelerating at the same rate that it has been the past few years. And I mean, that's not happening. Sellers do need to be realistic when pricing properties. So as far as going around and shopping for a home right now, it's nice. I mean, there's some properties on the market not competing with 50 offers on every listing. So, I mean, some of those things make it a better market than other recent times.
Yep. Interesting. Ashliey, anything you want to add to this?
Well, just to add to what Heidi said, because we do have a limited, land grab here, so to speak. But I think that overall stability for the Hawaii market over, I mean, the mainland market is, I've said this before, that we have, a limited commodity here. We're in the middle of the Pacific. We have an international hub. We have 7 military bases within 50 miles of each other. Plus, we have the local communities. We just are a tropical paradise in a U.S. country with, the U.S. dollar. I think that all just really helps add to a stable market. And we do have limited land, so you really can't, at least on most islands except for Big Island, can't add a whole lot more. And the median for condos was 510,000 last month for June.
Excellent. Yeah. Yeah. I think what you said was best. That was a great line, actually. Ashley, it's like we're a tropical paradise in the middle of the Pacific using the U.S. dollar. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. There's nothing else. There's nothing else like it. You can't beat it. And actually, Auntie Joan agreed with the first sentence. Everything in Hawaii is better. Exactly. Everything in Hawaii is better. But this was specifically about hurricanes. Back east, hurricanes were more frequent and more devastating. Yeah, indeed. I don't know, but that's again, that's purely empirical, just from my own memory. But you were there, you live there, and are living here.
But we have
Bob,
so many things. Let me just add one more thing. We have so many amazing things about Hawaii. Like, we don't have any alligators or venomous snakes or critters that people are afraid of. So honestly, a lot of people like Hawaii for those reasons. You've got the luxury market. It appeals to high end, international and corporate. And then you also have the surf, and you have the beach, and you have the active goers, plus you have entrepreneurs that can get into that international market. So yes, I agree with Joanne. Everything in Hawaii is just better.
Everything. Well, you know what? That's a great thread. Let's see if we can tug on that a little bit. So everything in Hawaii is better. You just brought up all kinds of things that you raised, which are all true. I'd be curious if for those of you who are watching, if you live in Hawaii, is there anything else you want to add to that? Throw it in the comments. I'd like to hear about it. I think the one thing that you mentioned, Ashley, is there's so many things about Hawaii, right? I just had my you speak about this. Well, one thing on the animal side, we also have no rabies, right? We're one of the few places on Earth that has no rabid animals. So if you get bit by a dog, it's not going to be a rabies dog. That's kind of nice. As you mentioned, there's no snakes, at least for the most part. I mean, well, there's no snakes. Snake is like if they find a snake somewhere, it's like the headline news. Snake found somewhere, whatever. It's a big news story, right? So we don't have snakes, no poisonous animals. So it's a hiker's paradise. It's a camper's paradise. You can camp kind of fairly safely and know that nothing weird is going to come and kill you in the night. And you're not going to get killed by some wild poisonous animal, which is awesome. My cousin was just visiting me the other day. She was here with her children for a couple of weeks. And she was mentioning that, well, we were talking about something as simple as Waikiki. And she was saying how cool Waikiki is. Just, Waikiki is not as cool as it used to be, so to speak. It's kind of gotten a little bit seedy now. They're trying to correct it. But besides that, she's like, Waikiki is like so awesome. It's just amazing beach. They've got like incredible restaurants. You've got like some of the biggest crazy brand name, awesome, incredible places. I can't even mention a brand name because I'm a guy. I have no idea what those brands are, but there's some high end, there's all these high end places where you can go shopping. So it's like and I was like, remark with that, Waikiki, actually, correct me if I'm wrong, everyone. Waikiki, I think, is like the only place in the world that has a combination of year-round perfect tropical weather with an incredible beach that you can go to that's right next door to world-class shopping and world-class restaurants. There's no place else that's got that. All over
and surf and snorkeling and shipwrecks and sailing and I mean
and exactly.
Except
yeah.
You can come to Maui and go to Kaanapali or Wailea.
Kaanapali, Wailea, same kind of thing, right? Same, Hawaii's got these things, right? And then and actually, it's kind of funny you mentioned that, Heidi, Ashliey, is that we had a beautiful dinner at the Moana Surf Rider. And, we're like right there. There's this great dining area, which puts you practically on the water. And we're having this amazing dinner. And I'm looking out at the beach and I'm like, This is why Waikiki was for the royalty. This is why royalty used to come to Waikiki in the summer. It is an amazing place.
Under
Even though
that
it's like
big banyan tree
that
and the light.
huge,
Oh,
right?
that's a vibe.
It is that you got it. You got it, girl. It is a vibe. It is a vibe. Okay, and we got some good vibes going on over here with Heidi Perkins, another Heidi. Welcome, Heidi. Welcome, Heidi, to the other Heidi. We are good to see you. And also Bob Carl has joined us. Aloha from the Hawaii Kai Peninsula. Welcome, welcome back, Bob. I know that you're here before. Patrick is unfortunately still in Raleigh, North Carolina, but that's all right, Patrick. You'll make it back one day. Make it back. That is your trick. Hey, folks, look, really quick. Just wanted to remind everybody, this is your chance. I think we've got a kind of an interesting show going on today. If you've got questions, you can ask us anything. Ask us anything. Pop it in the comments. We'll get your questions. Let's move on here. I got a special announcement that I'd like to make to you all is that it is that time again. We are opening up our Islander Ohana cohort. We are starting for September. And you heard me. There's a lot of people who come on board, like Kinaya, who is here today, who is an alumni of the Islander Ohana. We are starting our cohort. And look, this is what this is all about. So what is it all? The Islander Ohana is about living in Hawaii in the best possible way. Really, it helps you avoid a disastrous move. Some people aren't meant for Hawaii, but they don't know it until they come here, and it's a complete disaster. Took me decades to figure out the stuff that we share in the Islander Ohana cohort. So you get to make short work of that. We have a great collection of people who get together. The Islander Ohana here, at least on Oahu, and actually we have them on Kauai and the Big Island and Maui. It is all growing, and you get to connect with trusted locals. For example, like buying a home. But in the other things, if you need a referral for a trusted local to work with, that's what the Islander Ohana is all about. And so it is what you want to do. So look, I'm gonna pop a link in the description really quick, and this is where just get on the form. We're going to be opening up the cohort. I just popped it in the comments. We're going to be opening up this cohort. The announcement is going to come next week. You want to get on the pre-registration now. You're going to come up with the form, and you can join the Islander Ohana. I can't recommend it enough. It's been an amazing experience, amazing for me and everybody else. Let me say hello to a few other folks who have just joining us. Joan says Kaanapali is my favorite beach. Joan, you're on Oahu. You're not with the home team. The favorite beach is Waikiki. Can't be Kaanapali. You got to be with the home team, Joan. You're on Oahu.
Mine's Mokuleia. I mean, we're gonna talk favorite, mine's Mokuleia.
Mokuleia on the North Shore.
Yeah.
Look, my heart is, I love Makena Beach on Maui because that was the first Hawaiian beach I ever went to. It has an incredibly special place in my heart. But we're in the home team. Oahu rules. Sorry, Heidi. We love Maui. Mark Whitehill has joined us. Mark is also an alumni of the Islander Ohana. Forgot to say hi. Hello, everyone. Great to have you back, Mark. Let's get into this. So I had a question. So the big question of the day is this, gang. Big question of the day is what does $1 million buy in Hawaii? Now, let me give you some context so we can kind of throw a discussion out over here. So I got this email from Alan. He's from Ireland, and Alan says to me, he goes, I lived in Maui in 1997. I started on Oahu for a few weeks, and I moved to Wailea for a few months. I had to leave. And then he went back actually to Ireland. He says, I loved Hawaii. And it's one of these people that, and you folks know what I'm talking about. Once Hawaii, there's certain people where Hawaii gets in your blood and that's it. You can never take it out of your mind. You'll never forget it. You'll always want to come back. He's one of these people. And he asked me, goes, look, what can I get in Hawaii for give or take about $1 million? And I thought that was a good question that is worthy of an update. So let's go to Heidi first, and then Ashliey. Heidi, if Alan asked you, say, hey, what can I expect to get for about $1 million in Maui? How would you reply to that?
So you could buy a modest single-family home, probably up in Pukalani, Makawao, Central Maui, Wailuku, Kaʻalui, maybe a 3-bedroom, 2-bath single family home, or maybe a small cottage on the North Shore or somewhere else. Um, for condominiums, I mean, for under $1 million, you can buy a nice 2 bedroom or 3 bedroom condominium in a lot of places, like a residential condominium. For a vacation rental condominium, $1 million is going to get you studio or 1 bedroom that you can use for vacation rental in general.
So sounds like with $1 million, you've got a reasonable selection. Yet you can kind of pull from. You can kind of look around and you've got something that you can get that's nice, especially if you go for a condo. Ashliey, how would you respond to Alan, who's got give or take about $1 million he wants to spend on a home on Oahu?
The answers are quite similar when it comes to the regions of the island of Oahu as well. So right now on Oahu, for properties, single family and condos of all conditions under $1 million, there's 1,047 listings. For anything that's move-in ready, so to speak, there's just under 1,000 listings. So you have options. I would say you can get for a single family, probably Central Island, something really modest, maybe single wall construction. On the leeward side, you could probably get a decent size home. Right now, one of our listings we're going to post is a 7 bedroom for under $1 million. On the east side, probably get a condo or a fixer-upper home, perhaps around $1 million. You could get a 2 bedroom, maybe cottage on the North Shore for under $1 million or so. For condos, you could get a decent sized condo for maybe 3 bedroom for $1 million or less, depending on what part of town, and again, condition, amenities, and such. But you have about 1,000 options on Oahu.
1,000 options. There you go. That's a nice way to put it. And thanks for doing that quick search, Ashliey, in the MLS to kind of see what pops up. So, okay, so $1 million is, I don't want to use the word plenty, but $1 million is certainly sufficient to have a reasonable selection. What would you say then? So this makes me think about, okay, what would you say would be like the reasonable minimum number you would need to have a reasonable selection of properties that you could kind of choose from, on the respective islands? If someone said, Heidi, if I asked you, okay, realistically speaking, how much money do I need to realistically start looking? Yeah, there may be some crazy undesirable property that nobody wants that's bug ridden and God knows what, but let's just talk about something that would be reasonable, that you want to move into, that would be okay to go for, whether it's a condo or a home. What's the number, Heidi, that you should be, what's your reasonably lowest starting number to buy a home in Maui, Heidi?
Well, it all depends on what your definition of reasonable is. And what I mean by that is, I mean, that sounds kind of funny, but everybody has different needs when it comes to buying a home or a condo, and lifestyle requirements. And it depends on which area of the island that you want to be in, and also the size of the property you need, and just other factors. Um, if you're looking for a freestanding single family home, I mean, if you have a budget of about $1.5 million, I mean, you're gonna find some good options in South Maui, Central Maui. I mean, that would be kind of a starting price. If you want to be in West Maui, you need about 2 million for a single family home. Not to say there aren't any options less than this, but just if you want to set a budget. If you're looking for a 2 bedroom condo and you have a budget starting in, the 6, 7, 800 range, that's reasonable. But I mean, there's also properties that you can find in the 300 and 400 range if you're willing to live in a smaller condo, or you're willing to consider leasehold ownership, which is a different type of ownership we've touched on in different shows. So anyway, I know that's a long answer, but hopefully it gives some idea.
And there's no simple one bullet answer. So I appreciate you giving the context and the nuance. Actually, how would you answer that? It's like, what do I need to kind of get into the market with something that's going to be reasonable? And let's say, how do you define reasonable? Let's say according to Ashley's definition of reasonable, right? Ashley's definition, because that's all we know about, right? That's all you know about. Ashley, is your definition of reasonable. What would you say is that number to get into the market on Oahu?
If they are a single individual, I would say in order to get even your foot in the door into a condo or anything, you are looking at a minimum, probably 500,000 to 600,000 for something very modest, that you could be comfortable in. If you are with a family and you need, 3 bedrooms or more, and you're willing to, depending on what your lifestyle is and the commute you're willing to do, you would probably need a minimum of like 800,000 to get something that's again, a good condition, reasonable home, probably 800 to a million. If you're willing to go to the leeward side, you have a lot of options over there. For example, in Kailua, there is no houses under $1 million right now, and there's a handful of condos. In Hawaii Kai, there's no houses at $1 million. There's maybe 13 condos, but there's 30 or so on the leeward side. So if in a perfect world, if you could come and you want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and you want some options, 1.3 million for a single family home would get you into something, I think, comfortably.
Okay, so interesting. So therefore, this $1 million number is like not too far off as a good, and it's an easy number to say. It's an easy number to conceptualize, and it kind of gives you something. You can't like get the killer house or something amazing, but you could find something. You'll get certainly a condo. At the very, very least, you'll get a condo.
If
But
people
it's
are
kind of an
willing to
interesting.
move to like the drier side of the island, I think we have all of Hawaii. We have the windward side, which is the wetter, rainier, more tropical side of the island. Then you have the North Shore, which typically has your more surf, small town community. And then you have your South Shore, which typically houses like higher end as well, which all pockets have their higher end, sections as well. And then you have the east side, which typically tends to be the drier side. You have more affordable homes usually on the east side of the island, at least for Oahu, or my understanding. Heidi can elaborate on Maui as well. But I think 1 million used to be that magic number. I feel like 1.3 million now is that sort of magic number.
1.3. Okay, yeah, the magic number is
Well, you
1.3.
just kind of
Okay.
look, I mean, the median price of a single family home on Maui is $1,150,000. So you can definitely get something for that. Median means half the property sold for more, half the property sold for less. So if you're around that number, you should be able to get something. But if you want to be in Kaanapali or in Wailea or some areas, I mean, that number is not really going to get you much at all. So yeah, just reiterating what Ashliey said, it depends on which area of the island.
It depends on the area, it depends on location. But again, just to kind of when people kind of throw a number at me, it's like, okay, what do I need? It's like, okay, for sure, I would say not for sure, but $1 million, 1.3, if you could kind of do a little bit more. What I told Alan, not knowing anything, right? The dumb guy who doesn't know anything about real estate prices. I said, look, you got to go, $1 million for sure. 1.5 would be nice. If you had 1.5, you'd have some more, more possibility. If you had 2 million, you could get like a dream home. That's kind of what I said. You dream home for 2 million or whatever, 1.5. So I was not too far off, just with my seat of the pants kind of thing. All right, hey, gang, pop any questions that you got. We're gonna move on. I want to talk about let's kind of figure out. I want to see I'm looking forward to kind of seeing what kind of properties that Ashliey and Heidi have in store for us. So Heidi, let's see. I think yours is coming up first. What are we looking at over here from Lahaina, Maui?
So this is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo at the villas at Kahana Ridge. It's been beautifully remodeled, all one level, 960 square feet, and it's offered at $790,000. So well under $1 million for a condo.
There you go. Well under $1 million for a condo. Now, what is is there any kind of interesting highlights or features? I mean, it looks nice. It's beautiful. It looks nice inside. It's nice and bright. Looks like it's been nicely remodeled, et cetera, et cetera. But there's no window, so there's purposely no view here. I'm not too sure where this kind of stands on the.
I chose pictures to highlight the interior, but this particular development, it is right across. It's pretty close to the beach. I mean, less than a mile to the beach, even closer. So, and you're in Ohana, which is right between Kapalua and Kaanapali. You can go to all the beaches there, close to shopping. This condominium community has relatively low HOAs compared to some others in the area. So for full-time living, that's what people are looking for. Oh my!
So you're in a good location. You're near to Lahaina. You got some beaches not too far away, and you're kind of in a good spot with low maintenance fees. Awesome. Thank you, Heidi. Let's move on to the next one here. Is this yours, Ashliey? Is this correct?
This is. Here's a house under $1 million.
Look at
so.
No, okay, yeah. Hold on a second. You know what? Both of you did this, and we didn't talk about like $1 million. We did not plan this or discuss this. This is one of these beautiful synchronicities I love about this show. I'm sorry, Ashliey. Go ahead.
So this is something we just came on market with, I believe, like yesterday. And this is a 7-bedroom, 3-bathroom, multi-generational home in Waianae, but it's a great location. Quiet, off the beaten path road, not tons of people parking on the streets, good neighbors. Downstairs is laid out as a 4-bedroom, 1-bath. The upstairs is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a kitchenette downstairs and a full kitchen upstairs. You can see in the aerial shot in the back, it has a big yard in the back as well that's terraced that you can even sort of separate if you were to have 2 families living in the home. You have the upper yard, someone has the lower yard, fully fenced with 2 parking and street parking. And it's only at $839,000.
Man, that's a deal. That's a deal. I mean, I'm just kind of my eyes are still popping on 7 bedrooms and 3 baths though. So that is a nice, as you say, multi-gen. So, gang, unless this is not already obvious, and just to explain that multi-generational, what we're talking about here is something that's classic in Hawaii, right, Ashliey and Heidi? There's so many homes that are kind of like this. You'll find them often in various neighborhoods where these are really big homes with like 7 bedrooms, 3 baths, because you may have like 3 generations living there. You've got grandma, you've got mom, and you got mom's kids, right? And everyone's and the kids are like in their 20s. Mom is like in her 50s or 60s, and grandma's like in her 80s or 90s, and everyone's kind of living in the same house. And it's actually a really cool thing. But and
you have that ground floor. It has both interior and exterior entrances. So especially for this part of the island, you do see a lot of actual multi-generational families living together, especially because you have ground level living here. And then the shower downstairs as well is massive. I don't have a photo up here, but if anyone wants one, they can message me. And it's a massive room almost. So this is a great property, but I can't, speak to the fact that some may choose to rent it out to offset their mortgage as well.
And that's another option as well. You can certainly do that. And so Jason is blown away like I am. Yeah, Jason, it is a 7-bedroom. It is a 7-bedroom. Wow. Yeah, 7-bedroom with 3 baths. It's actually a classic, Hawaii multi-generational home. It's just a classic example of it. And as you said, the ground floor unit has a separate entrance, right? And it could be rented. You have to kind of look at your own laws about that for renting, but certainly it's like the perfect place for like what we would call on the mainland an in-law unit, right? Where grandma's staying or mom's going to stay or whatnot, right?
Yeah, and some other things too, like it's double wall construction with insulation, double pane windows, new roof, the things that you don't necessarily think of when you think of price and houses in Hawaii. You can get the same thing and it's single wall with single pane windows or jalousie windows. So definitely a lot of bang for your buck on this one.
Yeah, for sure. Excellent. All right, great choice. All right, gang. I think we got time for it. There's actually one question that I've been holding this one for a long time, and I think it's the perfect day to bring up this question. And then, gang, we're running out of time, so make sure if you have anything you want to find out, ask us anything, do it now. All right, so let's hit this one. So this one is good. So this is a female remote worker. So this is the girl session here because it's like, we got 2 girls and 1 guy on today's show. And so here's one from Nav, who's from Fremont, and she asked, where's a good, affordable place for a remote worker moving to Hawaii? She's making, looks like $73K a year, and female. So let's kind of maybe focus on the female side of it. And so if you were young and single, I'm going to assume that Nav is young, but if you're a young single female, where would you say would be like a good place to live where you could afford $73K a year salary? Maybe find something on that level. Why don't we kind of go Heidi and then Ashliey? Where would you recommend for Nav to be checking out in Maui?
I would recommend checking out, well, if you could live a lot of different places. I mean, north of Lahaina, there's a neighborhood called Honokawai, then there's Ohana, then there's Napili. You're going to find some affordable rentals in those areas, just kind of based on the $73K a year. I mean, if you want to spend maybe $2,000 to $3,000 a month in rent, you could find something like there or also in Kihei. Those would be where I would look.
All right, great. That's a great list of districts to go and check out. Ashliey, I'm really looking forward to hearing your response. Where would you recommend a single woman live on Oahu?
If she's into the nightlife and doing dining and going out, then definitely town, Waikiki. If she is more laid back and just likes the amenities of what she's around and more of a humble, simple life, I would recommend something like Hawaii Kai, like a small condo. If she is beach sort of wants to go to like the farmers markets and stuff like that, Kailua, definitely Kailua, because I'm thinking of places where she can walk. There's walkability, where there's restaurants, where there's people, where she can go out by herself and still be able to engage and feel safe and such. And if she's really into surfing and sort of the country life, Haleiwa.
There you go, man. There is a great thank you, Ashliey, for a litany of lifestyle and district that is helpful. Heidi, what about you you rattled off some really good neighborhoods from kind of almost a financial kind of a perspective. What's your take on, like, how would you kind of characterize Maui in terms of lifestyle choices for a single female? Anything you want to kind of throw on that note?
Yeah, I mean, those neighborhoods came to mind first because you can walk to places, it's close to the beach. You're also around a lot of other people, but I mean, there's also some beautiful places to live up country out in Haiku or Kula, where you can rent a cottage or a portion of a home. It might be a bit isolating if you're a remote worker and you're up there all the time. I mean, if you don't have a good network of people that you know. So that's why I was kind of recommending some other areas. But I mean, there's all kinds of great places to be. I don't know. Is that answering your question, Peter?
Yeah, fair enough. Just kind of, I just want to have some, opportunities here to kind of share more of this great info. Thank you, Heidi. Really appreciate it. I'm sure that Nav will as well. That's actually some really good input. And I thought I would take advantage of it because we have a majority girls session for today, which is really fun. And, I'm going to see if I just got a photo from Dylan. I'm going to see if I can kind of throw it up on the screen. I don't know if I can do it just yet, but anyway, why don't we do this? It's that time. Let's talk about, let's move into our closing thoughts over here. Kind of want to hear what you folks have got planned for us today. And Ashliey, is this yours? And this is yours, Ashliey.
Life is 10% what happens to you, 90% how you react to it. I am one of those that, read into the stars kind of thing. And if you do so, we're going through the Venus retrograde and a lot is happening in people's lives and it can be very disruptive and we're all just balls of energy, right? And so when we have a strong, full moon, it pulls the tides, and the same thing when we have planetary alignments and such. So I think that a lot of people are going to experience certain emotions and shifts in life, whether you believe in it or not. But just remember, that's 10% of what happens to you. Still, it's 90% how you react to it.
We're going to have an astrological session one day on a show on astrology and interesting energies. Thank you for that, Ashliey. That's a great comment. I really appreciate that. My daughter speaks in those terms a lot. She's always saying about the moon cycle and the alignment of the planet cycles and all that kind of stuff, which is really interesting. By the way, Ashliey, so Jason, can you hit a quick reply on an email to me, and we'll connect you in with Ashliey, who can send you the information in. Oh, Ashliey already replied and popped the email. Great.
Sorry.
Thanks, Ashliey.
It's still email heater.
No. Hey, man, Hey, no. It's fine. It's God bless. I want to make it easy for everybody, but there you go, Jason. There's Ashliey's email address. Do it. We always got you there, dude. Jason has emailed me Jason is an alumni of the Islander Ohana. And so Jason's got my email address. But excellent. Thanks about that. All right. Next one up. Heidi, what's your quote and what does it mean to you?
The ocean stirs the heart, inspires the imagination, and brings eternal joy to the soul. This just reminds me of how much I love being close to the ocean. It's as simple as that. And I think that that's a draw that brings a lot of people to Hawaii. So it's almost this spiritual connection and just awe of being next to the Pacific Ocean is so beautiful. So
all I got to say to that, Heidi, is amen. Amen. Especially with your background, you were born in born and raised in a small town a small farm town in Illinois. To go from a small farm town in Illinois to be living, off the Pacific Ocean, where you wake up in the morning and you look out over your lanai and you see whales breaching. That is like a crazy change of life and an amazing one. I don't know about, Ashliey, you've got a surfboard that's behind you, so you're obviously an ocean. You must be an ocean loving girl. I can't tell you both enough about, like so many times. I mean, I make sure I go to the water, not make sure, but I try to go to the water. I go body surfing, try to go twice a week. Wednesdays and Saturdays are my body surfing days. I don't always go, but one thing's for sure. I don't know about you guys, but one thing's for sure. So many times I'm like, I don't know if I want to get up and go this morning. I'm kind of tired. I'm kind of like feeling sleepy, and then I'll force myself to go. And then when I go, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad I went in the water. I am so glad I went in the water. The water just like a cleansing thing for me. I don't know about you, Ashliey. What's your ocean? What's your love of ocean like?
I was diver. I was a big diver, and sailing. We have the sailboat, so we sail a lot. My daughter surfs, but I don't love surfing, to be honest.
Okay. All right. Well,
I will say
cool,
it became more challenging when I got more into my professional self because hair. I remember when I first got into real estate, I was in the water all the time, every single day, 3 times a day. You couldn't get me out. And I remember I first got into real estate and I was 20 years old, and that was like 13 years ago. And my friends were like, what are you going to do about your hair? Like, I've been in the water even now, and I got the beach hair, but it was bad before. So hair takes a lot of maintenance. You got to like rinse it out after, and you got to do a lot of maintenance to it, and then it fries it. So I hate to even say that's kept me out of the water more than it should.
Hey, this is going to sound weird. Don't all take this the wrong way, but I identify with that actually, Ashliey, because and so yeah, quick kind of half funny story. There was a time a long time ago when my hair was way longer than yours, Ashliey. It was actually about as long as Heidi's, but my hair doesn't like hang down so straight, but my hair was like as long as yours, Heidi, as long as yours. And
can you bring us a picture?
Yeah, I want a picture too.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna see if I could dig one up. All right. I'm gonna try to bring it for the next show. So I had my hair was like almost down to my back, and it was I've realized I learned for the first time what a pain in the arse that maintaining hair is. It's awful. It's absolutely awful. And I was like, man, how do women do it? I was like, Jesus, I mean, driving in the car, I had to drive with the windows up because I couldn't, the hair would like fly all over the place. Exactly. So this is why now. This is why now. This is the current hairstyle, and it's been this way for the past 20 years because I don't want to, maybe 10 years. I don't want to have to maintain anything. So my hair is purposely short all the time because it was because of that experience. So I get it.
I'll try that haircut, Peter. Next show, I'll get that haircut.
Actually, the key is just go to the beach at sunset. That's what I do. If I go in the ocean, it's 5, 6 o'clock, and then you can do your hair later.
Well, my hair, I don't want to keep recurling it because it will fry it. So like I curl it and then I don't want to do it for like 2 days. Yeah. Just ignore it. And I got the frail, thin, like blondie hair and stuff. So,
All right. The hair, we're up next hair episode, up next hair care, up next hair care episodes coming up. Yeah. Thank you, girls. This
is definitely the girls episode.
Well, hey, roll with it, right? It's a girls episode. Let's make it. Let's have fun and make it a girls episode. Jason, 1,000% Heidi will be on Maui and Big On for 3 weeks starting next Sunday. Jason, reach out. You got them all, man. You've got a Big Island. You're going to have Heidi. Of course, make sure you reach out to Dylan. This is all part of, this is what the Islander Ohana is. All right. I'm going to close up here. I've got my little thing I want to share. Of course, it's going to be Proverbs, as you all know. I would think you'd be disappointed if it was not. Proverbs is interesting because it's not necessarily sort of positive stuff. It's really, really life wisdom stuff, which is what I love so much about it. So Proverbs 13:4 says, the soul of the sluggard craves and gets nothing, while the soul of the diligent is richly supplied. I mean, this is what this basically means. If you kind of read between the lines here, not even between the lines, what is really telling you is like, if you don't work, if you're a sluggard, you're going to, you still crave stuff, you still want stuff, but you're going to get nothing because you're not working. The soul of the diligent is richly supplied. So to be diligent is what it's really all about. So you want to be diligent and not be a sluggard. Simple. But again, what blows me away about Proverbs is it was written 2,500 years ago. All right, gang. I think we've got we wrapping up a great show, right on time, right on the minute. Why don't we say goodbye? Goodbye, everyone. You all have a great one. Let's do counterclockwise. Let's say goodbye, Ashliey, and goodbye, Heidi. And we'll see you folks in 2 weeks.
Aloha, everyone. Have a blessed day, weekend, and next 2 weeks. See.
Aloha, everybody. Have a great weekend. Thanks for joining us.
Enjoy yourselves, folks. If you're near the ocean, get in it. I'm going to get in it because of the storms. I didn't go out on Wednesday. Islander Ohana, click on that link and get in there. Kinaya, have a great trip back. You're going to be leaving our island, our beautiful island. Have a wonderful trip back and hope to see you again another time. Jason, have a great time. Y'all have a good one. Aloha.
Aloha.